Alrighty, guys, welcome to this week's Sports Central. Took a week off last week. We couldn't get everybody together. Everybody had plans, and it was just tough to get everybody at the same time here in the studio. But we're going to rewind a little bit. Let's go back 2 weeks ago. It would have been the final regular season for high school football, and Kentucky was getting ready to make a trip down to Knoxville. Boys, that trip down to Knoxville, I'm glad I picked Tennessee, but it was one of those games where you go to sleep mad. You don't really know where to point your fingers to. It was just a really poor performance just by Kentucky. But I think, and I've said this, and I've said it, and I've said it, you cannot run a pro-style offense with a bad offensive line. And I will say this. This is the first year under the Stoops campaign that he's had a bad offensive line. Not bad, below what the big blue wall is, okay? But when you've got speed like Dane Key, Berrien Brown, Robinson, why not try to go back in the gun and try to get these guys open downfield, or try to bring them on jet sweeps, or just lining up and letting the defense put everybody in the box and hand it off to Rodriguez when your offensive line's not that good. That's terrible. That's terrible. And Tennessee hadn't stopped anybody all year. They stopped Kentucky. So.
What the problem is that Levis cannot run this year.
He's hurt. His ankle's hurt.
You're not getting any calling quarterback runs. He's not able to run because of that turf toe on his left foot. Wearing that a size bigger shoe on that left foot, so he's just not able to run. They're not going to allow him to run. They don't want him to run. So defense is just kind of pin their ears back.
We're probably not going to run a jet sweep after the South Carolina game.
Well, that wasn't a jet sweep. That was kind of more of a counter.
Jet sweep I'll never run.
Well, listen, this is what I think, and this is just my opinion. What am I? I'm Spencer Hutchinson. I live in Littletown, Asheville, Kentucky. This is just my opinion. Put whatever stock you want into it. Mark Stoops needs to hire an offensive coordinator and stay out of the offense.
He does.
No, he does not.
Yes, he does.
No, he does not. He's always in that guy's ear and says, run the ball, run the ball.
He had a great offensive coordinator, and he left.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I agree. But that was a mixture.
We're still 24th in the college football playoff.
But that was a mixture of spread and pro style. We are true pro style now. Our best offense is slipping tight ends underneath linebackers. That would have been really, really good in 1958.
Offense. That's the Rams' offense.
And guess who struggled the most in the NFL this year?
But they don't have a line. Rams' line's terrible.
So if you don't have a line, why are you running pro style? If you can't block anyways, at least give your fast wide receivers a chance.
You want to go to the wing team?
A spread. Tim Couch's first year there, they didn't have a great line.
Yeah, but I mean.
And look, what did they run? Air raid and a spread. And look what they did.
You're not going to put the air raid in that quick.
No, I'm saying they need to bring in a guy that will use our speed the way we need it. Because I can tell you what's going to happen at the end of this year, and I wouldn't be surprised. Berrien Brown will enter transfer portal. Wait and see.
What offense did they run against Mississippi State?
Pro style. But that didn't win us the game. Our defense did. Our defense has never been a question for me. No, but they're always on the field, though. You've got to be able to, against Tennessee, boys, that's the worst offensive
line. They always have a bad loss on the road. That wasn't
surprising. I was.
But this was not like, oh, you lost to Georgia twice, or like remember a couple years ago we went down to Knoxville after we just got that big game with Georgia at home, and it was for the SEC East, and we lost again. I think that was more of Georgia beating you twice. This was not that case. We had momentum going into that game.
They had a week off, too.
Had a week off. And I think another problem is, I think our defense played well this year. Not having DeAndre Square there in the middle, healthy. He's been there, but not healthy. And Jaquez Jones not being there. Jaquez Jones hadn't played in, 4 weeks? I mean, those guys lead that defense. And then they got Smith. He's not healthy. Their defense is banged up, but, like I said, it is what it is. And you don't think that I'm going to let this slip. There was a game that Monday night. That I texted Sean right before the game. I said, we're about to put it all over you. And he said, no chance. By God,
Well,
the
I didn't
Browns,
expect Jonah Williams to be a swinging gate on the left side.
anybody's a swinging
That's
gate
all
when
it
they go
was.
against Myles Garrett. I mean, Myles Garrett's the best pass rusher in the league.
I mean, he's the reason that Burrow threw that tipped interception because
Oh,
he didn't engage, because he couldn't get engaged.
Definitely,
with,
no doubt.
With Garrett.
That game was lost
That
in the first half.
No doubt, I agree
the
with that.
Bengals drove it, and then Amari Cooper, I don't know what they were doing.
But why
him
not?
Throw,
They've got
and then
to-
we got it inside the 50 and did nothing. And
But when
then
you go against
after
these,
that,
when you go against an elite pass rusher, you have to integrate Mixon a little bit more. You know, I know you can say, well, he's not that great and stuff. You can't. I mean, what did
Well,
they?
they must
They
have-
ran 11 straight pass plays at one time.
they must have learned something.
Well, I guarantee you they did. So, you know, that division's still wide open. Baltimore has the lead right now, but I can tell you right
They
now,
got an easy schedule.
they got to play the Bengals and Browns one more time anyways.
Yeah, but
And
the
both of
Bengals-
those could be losses.
Bengals got the Bills. Bengals got the
Chiefs got the Titans.
Is it possible that 3 teams come out of the North?
no.
You think the Jets will make it? You think the Jets will snag one of those wild cards? Because the Bills are going to win the North. I mean, the
Yeah,
East.
you got the Bills.
Yeah.
I don't. You got the Bills, and then you got Dolphins, Jets. Who's going to be division winners? Chiefs. Say the Ravens.
Chiefs,
win,
Ravens,
Titans,
Titans,
Bills.
Bills. But then you
Yeah,
get
then
2
you get
wild card teams.
3.
You get 3. Let's just say they take
Dolphins, Jets, and Bengals.
it could happen.
Who else?
Patriots are in there too.
Well, I tell you,
Patriots.
okay.
We
Well,
got. The
then you
Patriots,
need.
though.
I'm glad you said that. Then you need to be the biggest Browns fan in the world Sunday, because we
I
go
don't
down
know.
there.
We still got to stay ahead of the Browns. We haven't beat them.
Nope. Joe Burrow drops to 0-4 all time against the Browns.
3. He didn't
No.
play last year.
Well, still, he was on the team.
Yeah. Okay. Nolan Ryan played for the Rangers. He gets the loss tonight against whoever he's pitching.
0-3. So what? Bengals are
You got
0-4.
Deshaun coming too.
They elevated him off the practice squad. So I think that
That'll
they said
rub
that
off on your team.
they said that this is his 15th year, which in Madden terms means it's time to release him. I didn't even hear what you said. But anyways,
I love giving him a hard time about the Browns.
I mean, I don't have a hard time. Your all's life sucks, man. Y'all can't beat the Browns.
At least we made the playoffs.
We did too.
We went to the Super Bowl.
We made it to the Super Bowl.
When did the Browns win the Super Bowl?
We ended up the same place you did,
the World
buddy.
Championships.
Yeah, but they've never been to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they've never been to Super Bowl.
Coach wants to talk about the Buckeyes' big win.
Yeah, Buckeyes big win. Now, we'll say this. Let's defend Coach for a minute. Let's defend him. There was wind gust up to 60 miles an hour up there at Northwestern, which
Oh,
is
I like the Buckeye football. I just give them
Lot of rain.
now. I will say, but I will say this: that doesn't take away the fact that Northwestern still 1-7 going into that game. But you know,
everybody's Super Bowl.
Ohio State has the problem Kentucky basketball does. A lot of times, not a lot, but they have that. Sometimes they will play down to their competition. But I will say this: Northwestern did a really good job of stopping the run for a lot of that game.
Buckeyes are having trouble running.
Well, Fitzgerald usually gives the Buckeyes a hard time. You know,
He's a good coach,
He's a good coach, and he knows the defense very well. You know, the Buckeyes, and I'm not using this as an excuse because Northwestern played a great game. Buckeyes, like you said, I think they played to the competition, and with the wind the way it was and the rain and stuff. And I thought C.J. Stroud was off at the beginning of the game. He had to get. He made some plays there towards the end, but at the beginning of the game, first half, I didn't think he played too well. And they held our running back Williams. Henderson didn't play, which it hurts him. That's the speed back. And then we had a wide receiver still out with a hamstring pull. So
They'll hang 60 this week.
yeah,
Who do they play this week?
The Indiana Hoosiers.
Yeah, Indiana's had some teams there, here and there, spot and miss.
Not last week against Penn State.
No,
It's
Penn
gonna be
State's
interesting.
really good against bad teams.
Big Ten matchup's going to be interesting.
I mean, you've
because
seen
you
them
still
how
got-
good they played against Michigan.
You still got Ohio State and the Michigan game on rivalry, and then
You know what? It doesn't hurt me to
Illinois got
see.
beat. So
I remember when James Franklin was at Vanderbilt, and I remember a couple of times where Kentucky was at its lowest of lows, and he poured it on us. So anytime he loses, that's a good day for me. I can't stand him. So, and to see Will Levis excel the way he has makes it even better. Of course, Marshall,
Well, Clifford got benched last week.
Yes.
yeah, he's been there. I think he's a
18 years?
fifth year senior, isn't he?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he's a 5th year
I
senior.
think
And
Jerry
got beat
Clay
out
recruited him
Levis.
for Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, Marshall gets a win over Old Dominion, moving them 5-4 on the year. They got a game this week. We're going to predict that shortly. Guys, one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is the first round games. And there's been some tweets that I saw, not my statistics. I'm not that smart to do all that math. But there were some stats that I saw that were interesting. 90% of Friday night's games were running clocks.
No, they weren't.
That's what Chris Trusty said.
Not 90%.
He said 90%.
Troy Howe had the best stats on that.
There were 35 running clock games out of 92,
Two, yeah.
92,
35
93.
running clock, but the
think
average
it's what-
scoring
yeah.
margin was something like 24.5 points.
That's pretty good, though.
But you got to think, what games around here were close? Or in our area, think about it. But I mean, Fairview played pretty good.
Yeah.
But in our area, what games were close this week?
There was.
If you had to choose a playoff format right now, which would it be? Would you rather take just the 2 teams in each district, top 2 teams, and just seed them automatically by the RPI, no sister district, no inter-district, just seed them automatically East versus West RPI, or would you keep the same format?
I like just 2 teams.
You like what now?
2 teams.
Yeah.
Makes
I
the
agree.
regular
I
sea-
like the 2 teams.
Makes the regular season more, and you don't have 0-10 teams in the playoffs.
I would personally,
You
first
think
off,
those kids are excited to go get pounded?
No.
well, you think that the kids that
They
are
have to
10
go
and
to
0 are
another
excited to
practice
go
another
play
week.
these teams?
Let them play. Get
On a
them
bus,
regular season
6
game.
hours somewhere?
Well, you got to think of it. On the other side, some of these teams are undefeated. You think they like going and playing 0 and 11, 0 and 10
Somebody
teams?
blow out a knee.
If somebody gets hurt.
Ex-
that's,
Exactly. You know, and it puts coaches in tough positions
But
because you're
they
like,
keep voting for it.
I agree.
get it.
If it is about.
I don't
it
know
is.
if they're making money though. There wasn't enough to start a fight at Ashland. That's nothing against Ashland, but there wasn't very many people.
But that's not it. That's not where they make their
If you cut out
money.
around the playoffs, that's where the KHSAA loses money.
No, I'll tell you where they make
schools.
their money. They make their money because media companies like
Yeah.
us and Cool Hits and My Town have to pay a fee to the state before they can even broadcast these games.
Yeah.
And early round games, it's not bad, and it's really not bad if you share your stream to NFHS, which I don't do that. I don't feel like NFHS should be able to get my stream, so they have an option there. Last year for East Carter and Belfry, I paid $500 just to keep the stream out of NFHS's hands. And Sean, how many people we have watch it after we got done live?
ended up with like 30-some thousand.
This is the most watched game ever around here. I mean, we killed everybody last year, or 2 years ago. Was it last year? It was last year.
I was always told as an athletic director, you want to make it to the state semis to make the most money. But if you win and go to the state, you lose money because if you choose to stay, you have to spend so much
I'm going to tell you
money.
something that Ivan McGlone used to say. Ivan used to say, if you practice on Thanksgiving, you've had a good year.
Right.
Great year.
Had a great year. When we come back, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll break down. We're going to break down round 2 of the playoffs. It sounds crazy. It just feels like we just now started it. Round 2 of the playoffs when we come back on the Eastern Kentucky Athletics and the Cool Hits Sports Network.
Hey, I'm Erin.
And I'm Michael. Come see us at Bowman's.
this is Greg Gibson with Greg Gibson Insurance. Just a quick question for you. Do you just buy insurance or do you hire an insurance agent? At Greg Gibson Insurance, you hire me. When you have a problem, you call me. When you got an issue, you call me. We fight for you. We try to help you. We give you the best coverage at the best price we possibly can do. But the most important thing is you're not just buying insurance, you're hiring Greg Gibson. It's Greg Gibson with Greg Gibson Insurance. Here to help you make the right call. Call us today, 606-585-0153.
Gillum Drug, 1237 Carter Avenue, Ashland, is a locally owned pharmacy devoted to providing excellent customer service, not found at the chain drug stores, and Gillum Drug will treat you like family. Stop by today and experience it. Gillum Drug, next to Domino's. When you shop Grayson Sporting Goods, you're supporting a great family-owned business with new owners and team sales. To celebrate, get all your high school gear, including high school spirit wear. Grayson Sporting Goods also does embroidery and vinyl transfers. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, and Saturday, 10 to 3. Check with Grayson Sporting Goods for extended seasonal hours.
Here at Infusion Solutions, one of the things that we're most proud of is the relationship that we develop with our patients.
From the people on the phone to the delivery drivers, these people are a part of my life. They take care of me. I would recommend Infusion Solutions to anybody.
Discover what we're all about right now at Infusion Solutions.
Hey, I'm Erin.
And I'm Michael. Come see us at Bowman's.
To keep Johnson Central off the board, so I believe Johnson Central.
And this is a team that, Johnson Central's familiar with. Like Coach said, I've coached there for 12 years, and we've been to Wayne County. Wayne County's been to us numerous times. That Wayne County's usually in the playoffs, and that's one of the teams you got to go through to get to get to the next step. But I'm like he says, Wayne County gives up way too many points, and they don't have the offense they've had in the past. To come back.
I don't know a whole lot about them at all. When you say Wayne, I'm like Pioneers.
Out Wayne.
Yeah, out Wayne. That's exactly what I think.
It's a unique place to play. If you've never been there.
No, that's in the it's in the mountains though, isn't it? Isn't Wayne County's down the
They're known
mountains,
for-
isn't it?
They're known for basketball. Rodney
Yeah.
Woods, and
Yeah.
they're known for their basketball.
Paris.
Yeah.
Paris.
Coach is going to have everybody ready for this week, and I see John Central doing well.
Paris has had a good year, guys. They're going to go play Raceland, though, and that's going to end their season. This is really just not much to say. Raceland wins running clock.
Yep. I don't know, the Raceland gonna have a game till maybe the fourth game.
Yeah.
It might be running clock.
No, Raceland and Pikeville will not be challenged until they play each other.
Right.
That's I'm blunt about it. That's the way it is. So what? And it doesn't take a genius to know that. It doesn't take us on the show to say it.
Now, if you talk to Coach Salmons, he's got a lot of dangerous opponents coming up.
Well, that's the coach's mentality that he has to keep.
Coach speak. Being puffery.
Yeah.
A game that's going to happen. It said it's in Canonsburg, guys. Boyle County's going to make the trip to Boyd.
Boyd County gets welcomed to big boy football.
Yeah.
Sean asked who was
They've
going to make
done
mad
it.
this
They've
week.
done it. They've had a great season.
They have.
a great
He's done a great job, but I see where Boyle's in the top 10 among all classes.
Thing about Boyd is they're very well coached. They've got a community behind them. They've got great skill guys. Boyd County's won some good games this year, man. And I tell you the way that, and I'll say this, probably Ashland's best win this year was over Boyd County. And Boyd County beat Greenup down at the farm. Boyd County's had a good year, district championship. Boyle County, though, man, that's and what's weird about Boyle County is they're actually a 3A school. A lot of people don't know that. They elect to play up. So imagine if Boyle County was in 3A and they had to play in the eastern side of so I think Boyle County too much.
Yeah, one thing is weekend's going to be the weather too, which there's a lot of turf fields around here now, but I think it's going to play a role in the game.
It absolutely will. It absolutely will. It absolutely will.
You got to also look at, Boyle County's going to bring. They got a great defense, and they're going to bring pressure. And like you said, I don't think Boyle County's played a team this year yet that's going to have the pressure that Boyle County's going to put on.
That's a tough second
It's
round
going to
game.
be. Yeah,
Well, I'll
it's a tough
say this.
second round game.
I'll say
Especially for a
this.
district champion.
Exactly. You never really get prepared to play a game like that. Either you're playing in it or you're not. It's not anything you can imitate in practice.
The only thing Boyle County has to worry about is losing a key player. I always said in these games like this, it's losing somebody, a key good player.
Now, wait a minute. Now, I think Boyd County can put up a fight.
Yeah, that's
I don't think this is going to be an absolute 50-0 game. I think Boyd County can put up a fight, man. Games in Boyd County, you got to give them a little credit, man.
I'll be doing that game, so I hope it's a good game.
Yeah.
I think Boyle County.
I root for good games.
We
or
know
running
how good
clogs, is
we
what I
know
root
how
for.
good Boyle County is, but
Spencer?
but I think that a lot of people get caught up on the narrative that Boyd County's still old Boyd County. Boyd County's got a good team,
No.
guys.
No.
But they haven't faced a team of this caliber.
Nobody has around here really.
No.
In quite a while.
And if Boyle County and Johnson Central played, I'd pick Boyle. So, Boyle County all around. Fleming County is going to make the long trip down to Log Mountain in Bell County. Fleming County's been inconsistent this year. Of course, I got a couple of their games. One of them was out at East Carter, and East Carter took care of them pretty easily. I think it was 14-14 one time. East Carter pulled away. It seems like Fleming County, if you go back to the Mason County game, man, one pick and a fumble return, they had Mason County, man. Mason County's still fourth or third or fourth in
I think they've
RPI.
got a winning streak going, Fleming does.
Yeah,
I know they got a good running back.
Fleming County is one of those, they're just inconsistent, and I'm not sold on Mason County yet. And I'll tell you why. I think Boyd County's a better team than they are. I think Bell County too much, though.
Bell County's got a 2,000-yard rush.
Yeah,
Well, that's the underlying factor here. Guys, they're going to be on the bus for over 3 hours. You got to think, where Flemingsburg is at and where they're going. What do you get on 64, then get on 23
There's
or
probably
Mountain
no easy way
Parkway?
to get there.
Yeah, I guess you'd take Mountain Parkway, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
About Marshall County came to Simon Kenton last week.
And Simon Kenton won.
Yeah, Marshall County. You know how far that is?
That's all the way touching
the
Missouri, isn't
Mississippi
it?
River.
Yeah, it's touching Missouri, isn't it? Yeah, that's what I thought. Bell County all around. Martin's going to go to Breathitt, and Martin is one of those teams where they're kind of in the same boat as Fleming County. They're inconsistent. Of course, they snuck out a win against Leslie 42-40 last weekend, a team that they beat by 40 in week 1. I've seen Martin County twice this year. Both times they lost, against East Carter and against Greenup. They're going to lose again Friday when they go to Breathitt County.
Breathitt.
Breathitt, real solid, good defense, balanced on offense.
Yeah.
Breathitt's going to take this one.
Harlan's going to go to Pikeville.
So,
And
Be a
that-
tough pick for you, Spencer.
It's a tough pick. I don't know.
He's got a pipe of leather.
If I didn't pick Pikeville or Raceland's games the rest of the year, I'd get in trouble. People would come after me. But we're gonna pick it just so nobody can say we didn't talk about it. Pikeville will win. No offense to Harlan. There's only 2 Bears in 1A, and they ain't one of them. Now down to the big ones. And I say the big ones. This is the bigger ones. The games that you think that could be really, really good games. Graham County's going to go to Lawrence, a place they won earlier this year, and a place that they won at earlier this year when Lawrence had Gillespie. And if you look at the stats, guys, against Mason County, what did we talk about? You guys gave me hell about it. I said that they would not run Salmons as much, and they didn't.
And they lost.
And they lost, but they should have won, though. If they run Salmons, I think they win.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And against Pike County Central, which Pike County Central, boys, that's
They couldn't
wow.
tackle us.
Wow. No. No offense to them, but whew. Grant could have won that game 100.
Green it by this much because of Saints.
I'm going to Green it, man.
And the loss of Gillespie.
I think Green it goes and
I'll
wins
bet
again in Lawrence
the
County.
linebackers back.
I'm going Green it. I think Tyson Salmons makes enough plays. Greenup's good enough up front on both sides of the football to kind of, you really don't stop that flex bone that Lawrence County runs, but you kind of contain it. You contain it a little bit. The one thing that Lawrence County's had trouble with, and I don't know, extracurricular plays. Of course, we've seen the videos on Facebook. I'm not going to call anybody out, but Lawrence County has an act of giving out late hits and maybe a punch or two. So if I'm Gramps coaching, I'm saying don't get caught up in that crap.
The games I've seen, Greenup struggled against the pass, and I think without Gillespie.
No, they're going to load the box and say, boys, pass it.
Right. And it's going to be raining, most likely.
Which favors both teams, though. It's kind of a neutral factor.
This is going to be one of those games where each team's going to have to make the most of their possessions because it's going to be a quick game.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a whole lot of passing, so your possessions are going to be limited. So you got to make the most of it. Maybe force a turnover. Maybe do something like that. And don't get down early. Don't get down 2 scores in the first half. Something like that happens, you're in a world of hurt because it's going to be tough to come back on the opposite team either way. So Merle's taking Greenock County that little bit. I'm going to take Lawrence County by that much, just because it's a home game.
Coach, who you going with?
I'm with him. It's Lawrence County at home. A little bit. Just think that
Split. Split on it. Me and Merle going to gain a game over them.
I think Lawrence County's going to pull this out, even though they got a loss of one of their key players.
A team that I saw Friday night, Belfry Pirates, and that's always an interesting trip to go down to Belfry, especially when you go down 52. It's a cold road. You never know when you're going to run over a pothole that'll end your day. But we made the trip to Belfry, and boys, that was a great game early. Both teams exchanged punches, and right before half, Russell made a couple of critical errors there, and they did what Russell had done all year. And I wouldn't say they laid down; they lost their momentum. And then went to the half 28-14, and that was it. Belfry controlled the entire second half. I believe Belfry had a kid that almost ran for 400 yards. But Belfry's going to go against a team that's way more athletic than them Friday. Belfry's going to get their favorite return to them. They're going to come up. They'll probably come up 23, and I guess they wouldn't go up 52. They'll probably come up 23, and they're going to play Ashland at Putnam Stadium. Now, I flip-flopped on this game all week. I said, when the forecast came out earlier this week, it said 1 to 2 inches of rain. That's what it said on the Weather Channel app for me, and I live in Ashland. And that favors Belfry. But guys, let me tell you something. There's no field worse to play at when it's raining than Ashland's. Because it ponds on the sidelines real bad. In the corners of the end zone, it looks like it almost turns into a pond. It looks like a lake.
All the hash marks
are gone.
They're gone.
I think that, and this is just my opinion, I think that the Ashland coaching staff knows that. And they've been working with their quarterbacks and their playmakers and their speed this week with wet footballs. I think that they're getting them used to it. Hey, this is the way it's going to be Friday night. We're going to have to catch the ball because what good does it do them right now trying to catch dry footballs, practicing for Belfry? Because it ain't going to be dry Friday. So you might as well go ahead and imitate the elements. I flip-flopped on this game back and forth. Give me Ashland. I think Ashland speed's too much, man. Too much athleticism. Ashland.
I think Belfry. I think it's going to slow the speed down. And I was told that Belfry's really good up front.
Well, let me say something that might
But
persuade
Ashland
you.
was, I saw him against Montgomery.
Belfry is good up front, but let me say something that might persuade you. And Belfry's couple of their losses this year, what's Belfry done that they're not used to doing? Fumbling. They can't hold on to the ball when it's a dry field. What do you think they're going to do when it's wet? They fumbled Friday against Russell twice and lost one of them.
And
Ashland.
If Ashland guys get a step, man.
Belfry
their
cannot
freshman
match
kids
up.
Can fly.
Belfry cannot match up with Ashland's speed. They can't, and that's no knock on you. They can't, and you can't. What made Belfry be able to contain Russell a little bit because they were able to put a corner over top of Carson Patrick and float a safety over there, and Russell got him a couple times on post routes because the safety over pursued, but for the majority of the time, Carson Patrick was covered the whole game, guys. You can't do that against Ashland because it's receiver by committee. They're 5 or 6 deep, maybe not on the level as Carson Patrick, but the Atkins kid, Asher Atkins. They've got Houston. They've got Terrell, who's really, really good. They've got.
They'll flex out Braxton Jennings.
And what about the tight end at Ashland that doesn't get no love? Freeze, man.
Finally got a catch.
Finally got a catch, man. Look at this kid block, bro. Have you ever seen him put his helmet in the side of an ear of a linebacker?
It'll be if their line holds up. I think.
I think Ashland, man. I'm going with Ashland.
I'm going Ashland too. I think as the year has gone on, their play calling has grown to be pretty daggone good. I think it takes them some time to, like I said this all year long, to figure out what they want to do. Now they figured out what they want to do, and the play calling has been key in their wins, in their winning streak down this past month, 6 weeks. I'm going with Ashland.
I tell you what, I'm like you. I've went back and forth, circling, thinking who's going.
Belfry doesn't have that dude.
No, they really don't.
They've got Dre Young, who's really, really good. He's a great fullback he played Friday night, but I think he's wearing a brace on his arm. He's not 100%.
They do have some nice strength up front, and they were big games at Johnson Central when I coached there. They were big games at Russell when up there. We know all about Belfry, and yes, I've coached it for the Tomcats. But I'm like you, Coach. I'm like this. There's going to be it's going to be a tough. I thought, well, it's supposed to rain, field conditionings, but I sit here and think, man, this Bryant kid, this guy's played spectacular all year. I think he's going to get a run some, and I think he's going to be a big factor. I think he's going to be a load to bring down.
Yeah.
I think also that he's good enough to get a pass, and they got the receivers. I mean, they're going to catch a few balls even in the rain.
Yeah.
What's scary is the Haywood error. Haywood always gets if Ashland don't give up a big score right off the bat and get down and let him take over the game and control it, with the ball control.
Does Haywood coach the game? Because he didn't coach Friday.
I know, but he's always a threat, that he's the winner.
I understand that.
Who ran for 400 yards?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I bet
Who
300. Number 11, I can't remember. Man, he's good. He's good.
They better watch out.
Listen, that
he
kid
might be a dude.
Was it Hatfield?
No, listen. When I say dude, I mean Isaac Dixon.
Well,
I
he's
mean, Arliss Beach, Chris Jennings, Casey Clark.
They don't have these kids.
There's no dude down there right now. There's no David Jones.
I mean, you look at Ashland. I don't care. The Jennings boy and the Brown, they're going to have a big run. Jennings going to have a big game.
I think so too.
I think he's running hard. I think he's going to continue that success. And here's the kicker. I think the Tomcats front defensive guys this year has developed, and they're starting to come around. I think they're going to be the change in this. Tomcats are going to break some big plays because I don't think Belfry's going to actually kick off the Tomcats.
They did not kick off one time against Russell. They pooch kicked it.
They can't afford to. And
Well, Coach, I don't know if they're going to be able to if they're calling for that much rain. I don't think that anybody's going to be able to kick it deep.
but
I think
it
it'll be
doesn't matter.
pooch kicks
When
and
you got
swibs
that-
the whole
when You
night.
got dangerous guys back there. It's one move, they're gone. But it's going to be the Tomcats. They got the home field. Belfry come up here 2 years ago and played us, and we sent them packing. I think Ashland does it again. Ashland moves on.
313 yards, Woolham.
Yeah, that kid was on another level
Well,
Friday
we've
night.
talked about how Russell's had some tackling issues this year.
Could not tackle all year. I seen offensive linemen hold our defensive linemen and tackle them better than we tackled all year.
Well, even in week 10, think
That's
about
true.
this. Even in week 10, Johnson Central they just destroyed them up front, both offense and defense. Destroyed.
Who?
Belfry.
Yeah, but I
36-9.
mean,
but look here. This is a young Johnson Central team. This ain't one of the great Johnson Central teams. Both these schools should have been, and this is a good Belfry team. I mean, you should
Well-
have been a better football game. I mean,
I don't know if I would
36-9.
call them a great Belfry team.
No, it's not a great. It should be a good, solid Belfry team.
Hey, here's another thing we got to watch out for. I just pull up Belfry stats. They're 40 out of 42 extra points this year.
Yeah.
So they've got a pretty
Well,
good kicker.
That's pretty good.
I don't like
They're good
it.
Now,
place
Brian,
kicker.
Brian Church has been kicking
Comparing
trash
scores
lately.
sometimes is not good.
You got to look at the matchups.
Okay.
Hey, look at the matchup.
And when you look at the matchups,
Russell was in the last possession with Ashland,
I know,
Yeah.
but
and they got beat 56-14 at Belfry. So
Yeah.
Ashland's been inconsistent this year. There's no doubt. Look at them at West Jesmond. Look at them at Hazard. But I think that
I
if you
think
were,
if it's dry, I think Ashland wins.
you know what they say, the common narrative, the conclusion you're drawing here is it's going to slow Ashland down. Well, it's going to slow Belfry down too, and they're already not real fast. So
Yeah, but they're so.
And the receivers know where they're going.
Belfry,
The
let me say
DBs
this.
don't know where the receivers are going. The cuts are going to.
Belfry
How
wants
was
this
the
game to be
How
ugly.
was the field when Ashland beat Russell 10-3 that year?
I wasn't there. I was at East Carter. I
Kinda
think it was
sloppy,
dry.
wasn't it?
No, I think it was dry, wasn't it? Was it sloppy? I wasn't there. I was out
I
at
know
East
Russell
Carter.
held them in check that night. Pittman broke
Russell's like that, man. Russell gave Willersburg all they wanted.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
talking about 2 years ago when Pittman broke the one long run. When they beat Russell, was it 10-3, 10-7? When Conley
it was
played.
cold that night. I don't think the field was. I mean, I'm
wasn't
talking.
great.
But yeah, I understand what you're saying. But if they're 1 or 2 inches, or let's just say it rains an inch, that you can't imitate that. So if I'm Ashland's coaches, I'm getting the footballs. I'm putting a hose over top of them, saying, "Hey guys,
I'm sure
this is the way
Belfry's
you're going to
doing
have
the
to throw."
same.
Huh?
I'm sure Belfry's doing the same.
Well, if Belfry can't hold on the ball when it's wet, I mean when it's dry, you think they're going to hold on to it when it's wet? They probably will now because I said that.
Be a good game.
I think Ashland. We got a couple of college games. Marshall's going to play Appalachian State. Guys, Marshall needs one more win to be bowl eligible. And we were just talking during commercial that Marshall probably has the best win out of the non-Power 5 teams. Definitely the best in the Sun Belt. And of course, you didn't really think that until what Notre Dame did to Clemson Saturday. So Marshall gets another win. I think that solidifies them in the Little Caesars Bowl for sure. And I think if they get 7 wins, boys, we might be talking about Motor City Bowl.
They've been so up and down.
Yeah, I mean,
You never know what they're going to do.
Well,
who's going to show up the Notre Dame team or the team that lost to Louisiana?
Yeah.
And the same goes for Appy State. Who's going to show up the team that put it to Texas A&M?
a team that lost to Bowling Green.
Or the team that lost to Texas State?
You just never know, man. And Marshall's been like that too. The worst loss in Marshall, and I hate to say this, Marshall has its best win in a decade and its worst loss in a decade. You can't be losing at Bowling Green, man. That is a terrible loss. Let's just say if they played 20 times, Marshall probably beat them 19. It was just that special night. Kentucky's got Vanderbilt at home. I don't think Kentucky would be looking forward to Georgia because they might be dreading that game.
Andy's QB's out, and they've got a flu outbreak too.
Yeah, and the field will be
You know how we
wet.
usually do against backup quarterbacks, though.
And Vanderbilt hasn't beaten Kentucky in how long? Since James Franklin was a coach? Yeah. I mean, we're going on 10 years probably, somewhere in there. It's got to be close to it. They're kind of like, we're like they're Georgia, kind of. There's a streak going. And I seen a stat on I think it was Twitter. Kentucky has a winning record against all SEC East teams over the past 10 years. except for Tennessee, Georgia. No, over the past 5 years, they have a winning record over every SEC East team except for Tennessee and Georgia. So, I mean, and that includes Florida. Kentucky's won 3 of the last 5 against Florida. Too much. I think Rodriguez, he might end up, guys, with 30 carries. Rodriguez, Barian Brown downfield. Look for a special teams touchdown. Hopefully not after we snap the ball over the punter's head. Give me Kentucky, and I'm going to put, you know it'll be a close game. You know,
I think it's good against spread. They'll cover.
What's the spread right now?
17, I think.
Yeah, I think
You think they'll cover?
Yeah.
I think they will.
I think they'll crush them.
Give me a 28-7 Cats. Everybody going Kentucky?
Pro style offense gonna go for 40 this week.
You'll never see that. Why do you think Georgia had to change the way they played, man? Georgia had Justin Fields on the bench and was starting Jake Fromm. Stupid.
Fromm was pretty good.
Better than Justin Fields?
I don't know. Was,
No,
was
man,
Haskins
come
better?
on.
Was Haskins better than Burrow?
Yeah, you see where Dwayne Haskins.
I don't know, man. And if you're talking about just college, Burrow only had one real good year.
He
Because
never
his
got-
junior year, he wasn't very good.
He was okay at LSU.
He wasn't better than
junior
Haskins,
year.
though.
Different programs.
Yeah,
And different defenses.
Different wide receivers, too.
Yeah, no,
different offense.
yeah.
Yeah, let me tell you something. When you got a guy, when you've got Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase on the same team to throw to, that's pretty
Was
good.
Jefferson on that?
Well, he had to be,
Thaddeus
didn't he?
Moss.
That is,
Thaddeus Moss at tight end. I mean, I could almost throw to those guys, don't you think? Yeah. So, going back to the first round games, I agree with what you guys discussed. But the only difference I would make is I think I would put it back down to 4 classes. I think 6 is watered down.
too long a year.
It's watered down.
I mean, you look at Class A. There's 2 teams, and that's it.
Well, if you're
get
the
past, you get past. I mean, I think Bracken in that district was ranked in the top 10. Some of those.
Yeah, 1A is kind of, Raceland, Paintsville, and Pikeville kind of have their way with 1A. And I can tell you right now, that's no knock on them, because Raceland,
about the same way, too.
Pikeville would have their way with
2A
most
same way.
classes.
3A.
Raceland-
3A is not very.
Yeah, 3A.
3A is
2A,
terrible.
2A.
Yeah, but I think when I said
3A 's
3A 's
terrible.
the second weakest.
The eastern side of 3A is so down this year.
When you've got 2 programs in 2A, it's their year in and year out.
So
And truthfully-
who's going to Mason? It'll be up to RPI, right?
Yeah, so we're going to predict our state championship matchups. The guys debated this and didn't want me to do it, but I'm going to do it. Don't give me a winner, but I'll go first. We're going to give out our state championship matchups. These are just the matchups, who we think will play on Kroger Field in the first week of December. In 1A, I have Raceland and Pikeville. In 2A, I have Beechwood and Mayfield. In 3A, man, this was a tough one for me because there's a lot of teams are so close on the eastern side in 3A. You might be crazy. You might think I'm crazy for saying this. I think Ashland's going to play Cal in the 3A title game. Yep, that's what I think.
Will Ashland go to Mason if they win?
Maybe, but I think Ashland.
Mason's higher in the.
But I think that's a bad matchup for Mason. We'll go into that next week. I think Ashland goes to the state title game and plays Cal in 3A. In 4A, I think it's Boyle and Corbin. Boyle and Corbin will play in 4A. 5A, Frederick Douglass and whoever decides to show up. At this point, I think Sean said Southwestern. That's a really, really good pick. Southwestern's still undefeated, guys.
Undefeated.
I think they're number 1 in a lot of polls in the mountains down there, ahead of Corbin.
Yeah.
Frederick Douglass and whoever decides to show up and lose to them. That's my 5A prediction. 6A, give me St. X, and I agree with Sean, man. DuPont Manual. DuPont, for people that don't know, DuPont Manual is a heck of an academic school. That's, in Louisville,
Magnet.
that place is phenomenal. And their football program now, their uniforms are kind of funky. They've got red helmets with those white Rams going down the side of them. It's like the old school LA Rams helmets is what they look like, but they're just red.
Will that make a difference if they
Yeah,
make
it does. Yeah, it does. It's odd, man. It does. Because when you see them warm up, have you ever seen them warm up? It's
Intimidating.
I'll tell you what, do you remember when that team from Maryland came down and played Johnson Central a couple years ago and the uniforms they were wearing?
Yeah.
It looked like something off Madden Ultimate Team.
Yeah.
They were wearing, their jerseys didn't match at all. It looked terrible. But it was kind of intriguing. It was like, you know what? Those don't look too bad. They were so bad, they look good. It was weird. What's your matchups, Coach?
You sound great.
Merle wants to put his hot take out on Twitter.
I'm an Eastern Kentucky. I don't get out in the state much, but I would say that yours are pretty close. I've heard a lot about Corbin, but I just don't know about this east side. What's Bell got? That's probably.
If you had to put a
probably the
favorite on
wild
the East
card.
right now in 3A, who would you put?
In the East.
Yeah, I think it's Ashland.
I
Who?
don't know what Bell's got.
No, in the East. In the East.
So if Belfry wins, do they become the favorite, or does Greenup, or is Mason going to get the right matchups that they need? I've heard Estill County's pretty good.
I got to see Estill County. I don't know about pretty good. East Carter kind of East Carter whipped them.
Somebody said they should be 9-1. They gave away 2 games.
Who said that?
Just somebody that some Lewis County people that went to the game. They talked to some Estill people.
Well, they're wrong.
I heard they got a good defense.
How could Cal not? We don't know the matchup.
East Carter should have beat Estill County by 5 touchdowns.
They beat Estill.
Yeah.
How do you know Bardstown and Cal won't make a state championship game together?
I don't think they can because where the RPI is East versus West.
Yeah, but when it starts the fourth
When it
round,
starts the 4th round, it changes.
it opens back
It opens
up.
I still think that's my matchup. I'm pretty okay with the Ashland. I think Ashland would beat Bardstown.
If Ashland gets to the Final Four, they'll probably have to play Cal.
Cal. Yeah, they'll probably have to play
Maybe
Cal.
it depends. It depends.
It'll be RPI.
Ashland's probably top 10 in RPI
Ashland
right
is
now, ain't they?
Ashland's number 8.
What's
Greenup,
Lawrence?
Greenup, it's
They got Greenup.
Lawrence, Ashland, Greenup, and then it's
Mason's in front.
Mason's is in front of it.
Yeah.
Belfry's like in the teens, aren't they?
Yeah.
Listen, guys, you're going to have to
Doesn't
let
give
that
any love to
Belfry
Mason.
narrative go. I can tell you right now.
Okay, but what I'm saying is if Ashland wins all the way to the Final Four, they're probably going to be the highest rated team left, so they'll have to play Cal.
Cal. Yeah.
Pending an upset.
Yeah.
Right, so you can take Ashland out of Kroger.
No, I'm not.
They're going to upset Cal.
You don't know if they'll play Cal.
My picture.
You don't know if they'll
I'm
play
like you,
Cal.
Coach. I still think they're going to.
Well, they're ahead of Graham County. What if Graham County wins?
They'll have to play Cal.
Exactly. And you picked Greenup County, Merle.
But who's 2, 3, 4? It's 2, 3, 4
Bardstown.
in the West.
Bardstown, Cal, Ashland, Greenup.
Cal 1,
Cal will have to be number 1.
and Bardstown's next.
Yes.
Right. So it'd be
You got-
Ashland and
so-
Bardstown
So you,
and Cal and Greenup. Or Cal and Lawrence. Either
I
way,
think
Lawrence,
Union County's
Ashland's
up
ahead
there,
of
Mason
Lawrence
County.
and
And I'm
Greenup
not too
in
sure.
RPI,
I
aren't
don't
they?
think Ashland
I
can
don't
beat
think
Bardstown
so.
nor Cal.
They'd have to be, wouldn't
and
they?
Mason's ahead of all of them.
I'm not sure Mason will even be there.
Mason's 4.
We might be overlooking them.
Who knows who 3
No.
is?
Hang on.
You know, it might be
Cal,
that- might be that.
Bardstown, then somebody. That,
I'm sticking with the Tomcats and making it to Kroger Field. I'm all right
I
with
just
that.
think they're going to have to go through Cal.
Cal, Bardstown, Union County, Mason County, Bell County, Hart County, Elizabethtown,
Who Ashland beat.
then Lawrence, Ashland, Greenup.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough road for them.
Who is this Union County? Where did they come
That's where
from?
Freddie Cowan
Freddie Cowan,
played.
Dwayne
You-
Casey's
You don't know who
like-
Freddie
No.
Cowan is or Dwayne.
No, I didn't even know Union was in. Now, is Union in the same district as Cal? Well, they might be in the same district as
Union
Paducah.
County's down on the Tennessee border.
Okay, so who would be?
Look
That'd
up
be
Freddie Cowan. When
would
you
that be
get-
Bell County's district?
I'm trying to think.
Would that be? Is that close to Millsboro then?
Union County?
Yeah. You
I'll
see
I'll
how-
go to the west.
I'll go out on the limb and say that
Franklin.
no Eastern team's going to be in the final.
Yeah.
It's possible. I mean, the
That's-
East has kind of
that's a
dominated.
pretty- That's a very strong limb.
In 3A, the East has dominated the
Yeah,
state
but-
championship games.
But you think they can beat Cal? or-
No, I don't. But that doesn't. That,
Can
they
they,
don't
beat
have to.
Can they beat Bardstown?
I think Ashland probably could.
Okay.
You never know. On a dry field, Ashland will be tough to match up with, man.
You're
When they
siding
play
up
their
with
best.
Sean with the Tomcat.
No, I mean that's just what Ashland's playing their best ball at the right time, man. They're playing the best ball at the right time. And Ashland's beating some good teams this year. Sean just mentioned a
I knew
team.
when they beat
Don't say it. Don't go
2-8
there. Yeah,
2-9 Russell.
I thought you were going to say
six.
McGoffin. I thought you were going to say
A
McGoffin.
big win over Russell.
My picks are just about like yours, but I got Cal and Bardstown.
In 3A title
Now, the 5A title game is this Friday night.
against, you said Covington
Frederick
Catholic.
Douglas and Covington. That's your,
I
That's
think
that's your
if I'm
title.
mistaken, is that
Second
not a
round
repeat
game.
of last year's state championship? That's a repeat from last year's.
No, I think Owensboro played in the 4A title
Didn't
game.
Pikeville
Or
play?
5A.
Didn't Pikeville play Covcath tough?
No, I thought it was Covcath.
That's Pikeville.
I think you're right.
They played this year, didn't they? Played from Covcath.
Well, Pikeville had Corbin beat in Corbin earlier this year. I think first game of the year, I think the final was 23-21 or something like that.
Pikeville beat them 27-19
Beat Covcath.
at the in the Pike County Bowl.
You think Pikeville can beat Frederick Douglass?
No, no,
Then I'd say Frederick Douglass.
no,
roll,
no. I think Pikeville's really, really good. Pikeville's really, really good. Frederick Douglass.
Covington Catholic also
might win
lost to
6A.
Highlands.
Huh?
Their other losses to Highlands.
Highlands has been up and down this year. Racing went up there and gave them all they wanted.
Racing played Highlands.
They've been a merry-go.
Well, I take that back. They also lost to Cincinnati Elder.
Racing went up there and
There's no sin in losing to Cincinnati.
Racing went up to Highlands and gave them everything they wanted.
Yeah.
Racing's one of them teams, you know. It's. I hate to say it like
They
this.
did beat Beechwood 31-14.
I hate to say this. For Raceland to have maybe their best team they've ever had, what an awful year to have it. Because Pikeville's sitting there.
But on one day, you think they could have a shot again?
Oh, I think if they play in the game, they've definitely got a shot. But you see some of these other classes who have cakewalks in state title games. You know, like we'll go back to Ashland playing Elizabethtown in their state title game.
About Russell.
But Elizabethtown should not have been there.
Russell Owensboro Catholic.
Exactly. What was the final? 35-14 or
Who
something?
beat Catholic who they beat the week before?
Was it DeSales?
Micah Johnson and Fort Knox. I heard that the referees had a big, big impact on that.
But you know what, though? When I watched Owensboro Catholic warm up in that game, I said, Russell can't win this game.
Really?
No. Owensboro Catholic was, if you go back and remember,
Franklin.
that was their, I think, second or third straight state championship game they had played in. And the year before that, Belfry had given it to them.
Yeah.
Because Belfry won in 03 and 04. They won titles because they had David Jones at the running back. And Owensboro gave them a great game, but Belfry gave it to them. And then,
Jared Parker was a help to the Devils that year. 'Cause
But
he knew the spread.
the 1A title game at Kroger Field will be the best 1A, will be the best title game, I think. Because I don't think anybody's going to beat St. X. No one's going to beat Frederick Douglass. 4A will be a good game. 3A will be two teams that we've probably never seen before unless Ashland, Greenup Lawrence, or Mason's in it.
Coach, Eastern Kentucky team's not going to be there this year.
You don't see it?
No.
And 2A,
They're going to need an upset.
In the
Maybe,
future,
maybe somebody upset Bardstown.
it's possible.
That's
In a 2A, I think that's cut and dry, boys. I think it's Mayfield and Beechwood.
Did you already gave all yours?
Now, I'm interested to see now. I want to see the reclassifications. And it's the most interesting thing I want to see about it is I want to see where Pikeville ends up. Because, guys, they can't stay 1A. Pikeville ain't going to be a 1A school. They got 300 more kids than most 1A schools, you know. You can't be a 1A school. They got 500 some kids.
There's no way they're 1A if they got 500 kids. They still play in the 1A basketball.
So did Russell a couple years ago. They played in the 1A Classic.
They opened
Yeah,
that
who
up
was
from
coaching?
1A and 2A.
Yeah, exactly. You should
I
know.
have a region championship, Spencer. Nobody wants to recognize it. We were Elite 8 that year.
You should know this.
Also took a volleyball team to Elite 8. A lot of people don't know that, Spencer.
You did. You did. Back in the glory days.
Glory
Speaking of volleyball, Boyd County.
Elite
had
8,
to show
boys.
Against PLD.
Yeah.
You know,
Elite
PLD
8.
ended up
Plus,
state runner-up.
Iceland's got up and coming talent on volleyball, too.
No, that's their soccer.
Soccer.
Yeah, that's their soccer. Speaking of soccer, guys, we've got some great talent around this area that compete at the state
I
level.
thought you were going to be talking about the World Cup coming up.
You know,
Round ball's coming up.
I'll be honest with you.
Round ball's coming up. Come
I'll
on,
be honest
Spencer,
with you.
let's give it some love.
I don't watch the World Cup.
No, I'm talking about
Man.
basketball.
I don't care about the World Cup. I would rather watch
Hey,
NBA on Christmas Day than the
watch
World
the
Cup.
Wrexham show with Ryan Reynolds and that other dude, man.
Is it good?
Oh yeah.
I just
Where they bought
I've
that
never
soccer team.
been in.
Soccer.
I think it's the
If
lack.
you start watching it, I tell you the game that turned
Yeah.
me on to it was Argentina and Portugal in the World Cup about 10 years ago. Messi and Ronaldo. I mean, it was.
Oh, there's no doubt that those guys are
unbelievable.
special, man. It's
The
kind of
level
weird.
talent at that.
I like high school baseball, but the MLB, no, I just can't deal with it. I like high school basketball. I'm not a big fan of the NBA. Love college. High school soccer, love watching it. Can't stand watching pro soccer.
Do
Won't
you
do
think
it.
we'll have any interesting topics when basketball rolls around?
Oh yeah,
Think so?
yeah. I can't wait for the week that Ashland and Boyd play. That'll be a great week. We may have to make some graphics for that. Yeah.
Bath County seems like they've brought some talent in too.
Bath County brings in town every year. A lot of schools do
Then
that.
it ends
Merle.
up other
Did
places.
some schools do that?
Yeah, some do. But you know what, though?
didn't
I
know
would
schools
too,
around here
because
did that.
apparently
Make
there's
plays.
no rules.
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It's free for all.
I didn't know.
I don't see why people complain anymore, man.
No, that's, Sean, great point. They
it's a
should just make it
free-for-all.
legal. That way nobody can complain. Period. Period. That's what, hey, make it legal so nobody can complain.
What, that you can go anywhere you want to go?
That you can recruit.
Well, basically,
I
it's
don't
right now
defend
anyway.
the KHSA, but their hands are really tied with the legislature.
Yeah.
Anytime they want to do it, the legislature's like, parents can send their kids wherever,
No,
Yeah.
their hands are tied when it's not a name brand school.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have no problem sitting Greenup
or Fairview
or Fairview
or Rose Hill.
or Rose Hill.
And then you can also, Coach, get into the public against the private schools.
Yeah.
That's a big
And
issue.
that's what I'm saying. Exactly, right? What you said, Coach. Why punish any schools when you've got schools down
We
in
need to bring
Louisville and
Nate-
Lexington?
We need to bring in Nate Bryan as a special guest.
I like him on Twitter, man. He's good.
He doesn't care.
No, he doesn't, but I like him. But no, that's what I'm saying. Why not just make it legal, man? Why are you... Listen,
When you're
in
state
the
champ-
social media era, it's tough to stay in one school.
When you're state champion in basketball, top 7 players are transferred.
Talk about
That's
Bowling
what they
Green.
did, Merle.
In basketball, no, last year.
Yeah, last year's...
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
None of those kids... Yeah, all those kids were not from... And they did.
Well,
man.
there was a rumor that the Dillingham kid was going to come to GRC before he got into that other place. My son texted me that about. Said we've heard, we've got some people talking.
I'm not
Rob
against transfers or
Dillingham was gonna
recruiting.
come there.
Let the kids go where they want. What's wrong with that? What, it favors the bigger schools? You hadn't seen Pikeville's facilities.
We could talk about this for 2 hours.
Right,
Just this.
sure.
I
I
think
think
they
it's
should.
more-
I think that
I
they
think
should
that-
let the
I
kids
think-
go where they want.
I think us old school guys just always liked when you played.
Play for the town
played
you live
your
in.
own kids.
Yeah.
There wasn't all this fraternizing. I didn't like our rival. I didn't
But
want
at
to
the end of
talk
the
to
day-
our rival.
but at the end
now
of the day-
after the game, it's.
But at the end of the day, though,
love
Merle,
fest
And you're
and,
and you're Snapchatting
you're-
each other
yeah,
and
playing
you're
AU
But you know
together.
what, though?
It's just a different era.
But you know what though? At the end of the day, it's just high school basketball.
Right. Or high school
It's not
football.
that. It's not that serious. Let these kids go where they want.
There's just going to be one. Well,
Why do grown adults get so upset about that? Let them go where they
there's only
want.
going to be one team winning at the end of the year.
Exactly.
I mean, okay. Well, you got the single A.
I'm not sure they get upset about it. I think there's circumstances around it they get upset about. But if I had a choice, I would say let these kids go where they want. But I think that there should be maybe restrictions. You can only do 2 transfers in 4 years or something. Something like that.
I heard a saying that kind of goes with this era. There are 2 types of programs. Programs kids leave and programs kids want to go to.
Well, here's the thing,
And
guys.
that
College,
sounds bad, but
well,
it's
the
what's
next
happening.
level, kids go where they want. The college has got a well-established transfer portal.
Yeah.
So you just see it kind of creeping down to the high school level, and you know what? It's one of those things where
Down to
it's
the
part
middle
of,
school level.
it's one of those things now. It's part of the times. Either you can adapt with it or not.
That's what Trinity and St. X do. They're just recruiting at the middle school games.
Yeah. I know a coach in Louisville that all spring he goes to AU games, not to watch them, just to protect.
I don't have a
losing
problem
his
with it
kids
at
in
all.
basketball.
It's never bothered me. These kids and their parents need to do what they think is best for them. And if anybody has a problem with that, their opinion don't matter.
And a lot of times it doesn't work out.
Well, it doesn't. But back to what I was saying, it's just high school basketball. You know, when you go for a job interview or when you go off to apply for college, they're not going to ask you how many points per game you averaged. They're not going to ask you, where'd you play high school football at? How many tackles you have? They don't care about that. This has no impact on their career unless you're a Colin Porter, a special talent, which shout out to Colin Porter, who, guys, started for Liberty. Not only that, but scored a 3 within the first, 2 minutes,
I think he
Sean?
had 5 points, 5
5
rebounds, 8
points,
assists,
8
and 5
assists.
steals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play Alabama Friday night.
But I've always said this. I think
He can play.
Colin Porter's the best point guard I've ever seen in the 16th region. Period.
I agree with you.
The best. A ball
I'd rank him right
distributor.
there with my buddy Mike Helton.
The best distributor. He had the best court vision of anybody who's ever played in the 16th region.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody that could
No.
see, and he guards. He,
That's what made Jason
tougher
Mays' team
now.
so good over the last few years. It's, you think of Sellers and Villers hitting threes. That's great. That's just cherry on top of it. Their defense wins them games. They smother you. They're full court press, and they're very good ball handlers. They're right up in your face. They make you beat yourself, kind of.
Wait till they get everybody back from football, because they got 4 or 5 kids playing football this year.
But I will say this,
So they're
Sean.
going to have a little difficulty first of the year.
I tell you,
I'm going to kind of spoil it a little bit here. Yes.
Carter can play.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
He's one of those
He
guys
might
that's
be
going to be a
the-
special
he-
talent too.
yeah.
But I will say this. I'm going to spoil it a little bit. I do have Ashland number 1 in my power rankings preseason, but I think it's more open this year than maybe even the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, because you don't know what to expect from Ashland.
Well, they lose experience, which is huge.
Yeah.
You know, when you
Threes will help him too.
I understand that Villers and Sellers were special talents. Guys, those are not guys you replace. The experience and the hours they had on the court and game time, you can have talent on the floor matching theirs, but their experience is next to none.
They needed a point guard.
And truthfully,
they got
guys,
it.
and in the region tournament, Ashland's been beat a couple of times with those guys on the floor. Yeah, so that's all the time we have. Next week, we're going to figure out who's going to play in the state title games, because there's going to be a lot of teams. There's going to be some upsets this week. I can feel it. Hopefully, one of them's out at Canonsburg.
What is who's favored at Putnam?
I'm taking Ashland, man.
Who's favored?
I don't know.
So
DraftKings don't put out a spread.
So we'll know if it was an upset.
Believe me, there are people who put out spreads in high school.
Yeah.
If I had to guess who was in the public eye from looking at Belfry, have to be historically the way
What
they.
about Lawrence and Green at Pickham?
I think that's a toss-up game. I think that.
So it'd be Lawrence -3 because of home field.
Well, but you know what? That really wouldn't be an upset because Grant beat them earlier this year there.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of one of those things.
It's always hard to go beat a school again at the same place.
Just go to the hotel lobby at the state tournament.
It's different teams though. It's different teams though. Different teams though, Coach. They're without Gillespie, and I know that a lot of people say, "Oh, that's just our wide receiver. We don't use it." If you watch how teams play that kid, electric. You don't replace him. But that's all the time we have this week for Sports Central. This has been a presentation on Eastern Kentucky Athletics and the Cool Hits Sports Network.